Yes, it
It
has
is an
opened.
open condition. Okay, sir. So click that up arrow mark, sir.
Here, three option is there: your entire screen, your window, and window Chrome.
Yes, go for the
Chrome
center of
tab.
window.
Window. Yes, I got it. I got it.
Now you can open your file.
I think now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, it is visible, sir. It's visible, sir. Sir, just 2 minutes. Please give us 2 minutes. I think there are few students who are joining back. So we'll shortly start. So good morning to all participants. I welcome you all to this day 4 of the open course on sustainability on in civil engineering. So we have with us today Dr. Naveen PP, who is working as head of the department and associate professor at civil engineering department, Amity University. So he'll be speaking on topic foundation strategies for infrastructural projects. So before he starts his presentation, I would like to introduce you all to Dr. Naveen. So let us just wait for a minute or so. I will probably introduce you all to Dr. Naveen, and Dr. Naveen will later take over the session. Sir, please, we request you to bear for a minute. We'll start the session, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. Meanwhile, I request all participants, as usual, to switch off their webcams and make sure that you have muted yourself. I'm sure the students will enjoy this session because Dr. Naveen will be speaking on some topics related to pile foundation, which are becoming very common when it comes to the infrastructural projects as of today.
Whether my camera is on or it is switch off?
We can't see your this thing, sir. Webcam, no.
Yeah. Okay, it's okay, no problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Velumuri, sir, I think we'll start, sir.
Sir, around 25 students have joined now, so let them join again. We can right now we can start the session.
Okay, okay, all right, sir. I think I'll go ahead and probably start this presentation. Okay, I welcome all the participants to this session. So today for the first session, we have with us the speaker, Dr. Naveen PP, who is working presently as head of the department and as an associate professor at the civil engineering department, Amity University, Haryana. Dr. Naveen has completed his bachelor's from UVC, University of Visvesvaraya College of Engineering, MTech in Geotechnical from NITK Surathkal. His MS, PhD and postdoctoral fellowship from Indian Institute of Science, IISc Bangalore. Dr. Naveen, to his credit, has got over more than 14 years of experience in the field of geotechnical engineering, geoenvironmental engineering, metro works, waste management, and ground government. He has to his credit a good number of awards which have been given by organizations such as ACO Foundation's Academic Excellence Award, OSS Project of the Year. He also is a recipient of ISSNG Foundation Award. He has been awarded Young Research and Scholar Award in the year 2017. And in the year 2018, he has been awarded as Young Engineer from Institute of Engineers India. He has got Professional Excellence Award, and he has been also nominated as Young Geotechnical Engineer in the year 2019. To his credit, he has got more than 25 papers in peer-reviewed journals and more than 2 dozens of conference presentations. So he has to his credit 6 patents which has been filed from his end. And he has written a lot of articles in many newspapers and websites on topics which are useful to the society. He is a member of various professional organizations which include IEEE, ASC, American Society of Civil Engineers, ASTM, IGS, and KERF. So he is also a reviewer of several journals in the field of geotechnical engineering, waste management, geology, and geoenvironmental engineering. He is also actively involved in a lot of consultancy related works. Previously, wherein he has worked with Lucknow Metro. He has also collaborated on research with different groups and research centers during his academic career. As part of his overseas working experience, he has worked in countries which include Kenya, Japan, and USA as part of his consultancy works. So I hand over the session to Dr. Naveen. The topic is foundation strategies for infrastructure projects. Over to Dr. Naveen. Sir, please go ahead and start your session, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your introduction, Manish. First of all, I would like to thank your honorable principal and HOD and the coordinates of Dr. Selvam as well as Manish for inviting me this wonderful session. And you have given platform to share my research work. In this session, I would like to highlight whatever we are studying in the foundation engineering, whether it is really applied in the field or not. If it is applied, how much percentage is has applied? If not, what is the drawback? And already you have proposed a very beautiful online course that is sustainable in civil engineering, for sustainable material to sustainable technology. In that subtopic, what I am trying to highlight is foundation strategy for infrastructure project. The name only it will indicate that. Wherever if you are seeing in this slide, you can see the sustainability word and foundation strategy. First of all, we have to understand what do you mean by infrastructural projects we are going to understand in the current scenario. As you know that with increasing the population and also this the transportation, the vehicle congested also increased in all metro city, especially currently we have 1.3 billion population, and Bangalore stands almost beats 415 other cities across 57 countries to earn the title of world most traffic congested city in 2019. And second will be Philippines. That place is Manila. The first is Bangalore. Second is Philippines. Why this problem is arising? What is the drawback? The main drawback is population, and the main thing is we are not following the rules of transportation. And the main drawback of Bangalore is we have more two-wheelers are more. And second thing is whether this metro foundation is essential for the all metro cities. If it is yes, then who has introduced this and when it is introduced, whether this logic is applied for the metro city or not. First we have to understand whatever we are seeing this metro projects, infrastructure, big, this is not a new terminology. It is already introduced in 1920s only. Our India, we have one more pride. The first metro was Kolkata Metro. That is the oldest metro system in the country. It was first planned and operation as a rapid transport system in India. So initially, they have planned in 1920s and the construction started in 1970s. And the first elevated stretch you can see from Bhawanipur, that is elevated stretch, to Elespande, that is opened in 1984. They have done it in 1984 only, but with respective time in 2010 onwards, it becomes very high, this metro world in like Delhi, Bangalore, then Gurgaon, Mumbai, Chennai, Jaipur, Kochi, Hyderabad, and Lucknow. Now in all 10 metro city, these metro projects have implemented. If you are implementing this metro project, then what type of foundation you're trying to suggest? Can we go for shallow foundation, or whether we want to go for deep foundation? Again, if you're have that in deep foundation, you have varieties. Pile is there, pier is there, well foundation is there. But which foundation you are recommending? In this picture, you can clearly see this. This is the pier, this is the elevated. Before that, pier cap is there. This is the foundation. Below that, pile cap is there. Why? What is the diameter? What is the technology they have used? Why we want to go only pile foundation? What is the reason behind that? And when you are constructing this elevated metro station, what could be the dimension? On what basis they are trying to decide that when you want to go for elevated, when you want to go for underground, what is the reason behind that? As a geotechnical engineering, it's your prime responsibility to decide this. Structural engineer will give only structural load. As a geotechnical, you have to take the call whether I want to go for elevated or underground. If you are going elevated, then what are the criteria you have to keep it in the mind before suggesting. When you are going for underground, you have to make the points on what basis you can suggest. So that in the detailed slide you will be understanding. I will be letting in detail. I will be explaining how the stage wise is happening with the design concepts. And I'm sure this in the 6th semester and also in the 5th semester you will be studying the geotechnical 1 and geotechnical 2. There you will be understanding only the basic terminology. And in geotechnical 1 and coming to geotechnical 2, you will be understanding the pile, shallow, everything. But how much percentage it is there that is suitable for the field condition? Why field engineers require more experience as well as more be completed? So that we will be understanding outer line of my presentation. First is I will be discussing about the introduction, whether pile foundation is essential or not. If it is essential, when it started, I will be discussing. Then construction practices for the infrastructure project. For infrastructure project, today I am only concentrating on metro projects only. Because why I have taken, every day when you are traveling, you will be seeing this metro, but you don't know what they are doing. Just you will tell this is a metro project construction, but in metro you have several components that you will be trying to understand in detail about in this presentation. Then field testing and numerical simulation. Is it required, this field testing and numerical simulation in this presentation? Yes, it is required. If it is required, how? This is required because whatever we are learning from the theory, from the classroom, how much percentage it has applied. That's why we are trying to validate that analytical result with field data. Then what about the numerical simulation? Why I use this terminology? Because whatever the drawback we are coming, uncertainty is there in the field. Then how you will solve that problem? So we are going for the numerical simulations. So in my presentation or in my research, I have used only geotechnical software like a Plaxis. So I have used this numerical terminology there. Then for better understanding, I have taken some case studies to make the theory plus practical to understand. See, coming to this slide, you can clearly see the history of piling I have written. It means that this pile concept is not a new thing. It is already introduced in 1700s only. That time only, they know that this pile foundation was acting in the two things. One is load carrying as well as load transferring system. Now, whatever we are using for the metro projects or a Dubai big 25 towers, or if you want to construct offshore piling, this concept they already introduced in 1700s only. See, you can see their vision, and they understood the soil mechanics that time only. And that time they were using for they were constructed their shelter near these riverbeds or lakes. As you know that the riverbeds or lake, the soil will be very weak. So it is a very soft soil. So to strengthening that, they are going for the piling. You can see from this only. First statement, it is telling about the load carrying and load transferring. And last statement is telling the strengthening the bearing ground. It means what? This pile is acting like a two things. One, it is structural component. It is clearly saying it is a load carrying and load transferring. It is in a structural. It's like a deep foundation concept is coming. In last point, when you're seeing this strengthening the bearing ground, it means that you can use this pile foundation for ground improvement technique also. So the best example is now with respective time, the best example you can take it in Mavalipura or Mandur or KCDC, whichever you see, they have 30 meter to 40 meters of waste they have dumped. With respect to time degradation, when rainwater enter into the waste, this water will enter into soil water body and as well as soil with the leachate. That black color water is called as a leachate. When enters into soil as well as water body, it will contaminate and it will reduce the bearing capacity. Now with increasing the population, you have a scarcity of land. Will you leave that land as it is? So in that case, what type of foundation you are going to recommend? You can't go for a shallow foundation. You can't excavate till 30 meter, 40 meter like wide or a depth. So the best economical way, blindly you should go for pile foundation. The pile is acting in, one is like a defoundation concept as well as ground improvement concept. Whenever the soft soil will come, you use the casing till that layer. Then this entire load will be transferred to the suitable strata. Maybe it may be working like a skin friction pile or end bearing pile. That we'll be understanding in detail in our presentation. The first pile was introduced is timber pile. The methodology they used to do is, first they used to drive by the hammer, then they used to fill with the sand and stone. This concept of pile driving was introduced by Christopher in 1740s only. Now whatever you are seeing, this pile dynamic analysis equipment for the metro foundation you are using, this principle is already Christopher has developed. With respect to time, it has advanced. They have used the sensors. Initially they used to do by manually. Now by using sensors, they were able to capture, and also to better analysis, they are using a numerical software like a CapWap. So with that help, they can easily differentiate total settlement curve as well as skin friction curve as well as end bearing curve. Initially, it was a very basic principle. Just by driving the pile, they used to reach the hard strata, then they will be constructing. Similar way, when you come for the street pile, this pile will be used for two purposes. In the hard rock strata as well as in the water body to retain the earth pressure. Now this concept we are using in metro also for retaining purpose. This already they have introduced in 1800. Now whatever we are telling that a precast pile or a board cast density pile, this concrete pile, it was introduced in 1900 only. Initially days they won't have that board cast density pile concept, because that research was not has done in the concrete, like M20, M35, M50, whatever we are telling. Initially days, they used to go only for the driven pile. They used to cast in the casting yard, then they used to transport, then they used to drive, where the location should be inserted. With respect to time, now driven pile is not using. Driven pile will be used only in offshore related, in where board cast density pile can't be constructed. In that scenario, now we are recommending only driven pile. For all infrastructural project, for residential, even for Dubai, big, everyone, they have used two combination, pile raft combination. There also the board cast density piles. And the beauty of board cast density pile, based on the site condition, you take the decision immediately and you can increase the pile depth as per the site condition. But in driven pile, that can't be done. And you can verify your concrete quality, whether you are pouring the concrete and whether it is compacting, whether any honeycomb is arise, everything you can visualize. See, that is the advantage of board cast density. But driven pile, when you're driving, the pile may be damaged. But this type of damages can't be occurred in the board cast density pile. Now coming, see, now you can see the most recently the growing need of housing and construction has found authorities and developed ages to exploit the land for the poor. You can see wherever the weak soil is there, now the government has made a mandatory to recommend the pile foundation. Just a minute. 1 minute. Hello. Sir, good morning. You please be fast. I'm in meeting. No. You please tell me, sir. No meeting. If you want number of Praveen, Ankit. Okay, sir. Thank you. Now, see, now coming to this pile foundation definition, because every textbook they used to tell different of definitions. The proper definition is piles are structural member that is made up of steel, concrete, and timber. I already shown you the example. Now, steel piles we are using for the retaining purpose only, and timber piles now we are not using. Initially days they were using, and the concrete pile is the current trend we are using. And I have already told it is used to support the structure and transfer the load to desired depth either by the end bearing or skin friction. Let me understand this picture. This is a board cast density pile. This board cast density diameter and depth, again it will be decided based on the structural load. The structural load will be given by the structural engineering. Then based on that, we will see the soil stratification from the soil report, and we will decide whether the soil can take this much load at maybe at 10 meter or a 15 meter or a 20 meter. Based on that, we will be deciding. If it is soil is completely full of sandy soil, the structural load it is coming, for example, 10 tons, but we won't able to find bedrock, then you have to design the pile only for the skin friction pile. This is the arrow mark which you are showing is, this is the skin friction pile. This load is taken entirely by soil only. In some cases, in Bangalore Metro, we used to encounter the rock at 15 meters depth only. In that cases, you will have a two benefit. One is soil pressure as well as this rock. This is called end bearing. You are resting the pile at the rock only. Then when you are designing, you will be adding this end bearing plus skin friction. But in Lucknow Metro, if you go at 30 to 45 meters also, you won't able to find bedrock. In that case, you have to design the pile only for the soil. That is called skin friction. This component won't be there. As a geotechnical design engineer, it's your responsible. You have to design very carefully by taking individual layer, and you have to take the overburden, and you have to take the consideration of water table also. Then you have to design very effectively. That component I will be discussing in the respective slide. And another main thing is, till now we didn't understand what do you mean by residual soil. It has written in some textbooks or somewhere they will tell that soil that forms from the rock weathering or accumulation of organic material and remains that place where they are formed on residual. This is the general definition everyone know. But in the field, people are not able to identify. They are mistaken if the like sandwich layer it is coming like weather rock or intermediate material. When you are doing SPT, if N comes more than 50, then blindly they are telling it may be rock or soft weather rock. But it is completely blender method. So this is the mistake. If you are not able to identify proper soil or proper rock, then whatever you are designing this whether it is a skin friction or end bearing, your entire pile design will be there is no use. It will be settlement will take place. So you can see this is the weak soil. If you are not able to predict the soil capacity properly, then this foundation, this building will get settlement immediately. So that's why how you will identify if it is a residual soil, how you will identify. The identification is the transition between soil to rock. They have some line, distinction line will be there, that you have to properly see, that visualize and try to identify. And when we are recommending a large diameter pile, in our textbooks everything is a pile diameter. Maybe 150 pile also you will call the pile diameter, even if it is 300, 450, 500, 1000 also. But when you are using that large word, when you are using this large word, for you must have some proper definition. When you are using larger diameter, then what is the size? when you will call this larger diameter, when you will call smaller diameter, when you will call a monopile, because this proper understanding is not there in the even the textbook also. Generally, monopile means 150 to 200. For driving the bore hole also, we will do 150 diameter. When you are doing the piling also, the diameter will be same. Then will you call this bore hole diameter and this construction of pile both are same? It is not. Then when you are constructing 600 mm diameter, when you are constructing 100 mm diameter, will you call this as a larger diameter? No. If you are doing for a 600 mm diameter, whatever the code books it is saying 2911, whether that logic or the principle what they have telling is applicable or not. When the larger diameter, it means that larger area is required, the load coming will be very high. Whatever you are develop the formula and whatever the soil property you consider for the design, whether it is matching or not, you should validate. For larger diameter, it is not applicable our IS code. In coming slide, I will prove that how it is not applicable. And when we are calling a larger diameter, what could be the maximum diameter we have used till now? In abroad, they have used 4 to 4.7. But in India, now for the metro projects, we have used only maximum diameter is 1.6 to 1.2 only. This was used in Chinnaswamy Stadium, that metro station, MG Road station. We have used the monopile. The beauty of monopile, you don't require the pile cap. For smaller diameter, you require the number of pile, you should be putting the pile cap. The construction cost is also increased and the load carrying capacity will be very high. The advantage of larger diameter. And also the major, because today I'm going to talk not only with respect to field point of view, I will be throwing some light on the research point of view. So this is the drawback. Still, this was the telling. This is the from year to year, we are calling the residual soil. This portion is called as an intermediate geomaterial. When you are driving the pile or when you are constructing the pile, based on the SPT value only, they interpret this layer is as a weather rock or bedrock, and you will terminate it. But whatever they are given by the structural engineer, this load should transfer here. As per the code book or a thumb rule, it will say that pile should be rocketed at least 2 times the D, 2 to 3 times the D for weather rock. For the bedrock, it should be at least 1 to 1.5 times the D should be done. When you are not able to understand difference between IGM, bedrock or residual soil, then you will be land up with error. Just you are predicting this is as a rock and you are terminating your pile at this level only. Then whatever structural load they are given, that can't be taken care by the soil or by the rock. With respect to time, slowly the settlement will take place. So as a geotechnical engineering, not only geotechnical, even the site engineer should be aware the difference between the residual soil. What do you mean by intermediate geomaterial? This is like a sandwich layer. Some case it may be like a small pocket. It may be 1 meter, 2 meter or 3 meter. You should not stop your bore. You have to go till bedrock. Then you have to conduct at every respective depth, take the proper sample, do the geotechnical testing, identify the engineering properties. Then you understand. Then that parameter should be used for the design. Then only you are able to design a very effective as a skin friction as well as end bearing. See, I was telling till now, identification of transmission between the substrata layer from like IGM can be mistakenly for the bedrock, which I already told you. And also I told you this point, in India we have used maximum is 1.6 meter. In abroad we have used till 4 to 4.7. We can also use 4 to 4.7, but the main thing, we won't have financial. We have, when you are conducting any project, we have a financial constraint, and we won't have this big auger. Every time we have to import from other places, though the cost is very high. So what we will do, we will try to design the pile with our constraint, maybe 1.6. Initially, nowadays it has come to 1.6. Initially it was 600 to 800 is the big thing. They used to, if you suggest 1 meter dia also, they were not doing. Now because of the metro project after 2012, 2013, at least now the contractor have understood that importance. No, we have to upgrade ourselves. Now they have imported their the casing, they have casted their casing as per the current requirement, but still they are following ad hoc method. In our coming slide, I will show you what all the blender methods still we are following. We know the new technologies, but still we are following because the main thing is constraint of financial, and they are not upgrading themselves, our contractors. As an engineer, it's your duty to make them to upgrade. So this presentation will make them, when you become a site engineer or a design engineer, you have to emphasize they have to use the proper equipment at proper time. Otherwise, whatever you are putting effort won't get 100% efficiency result. So this is the design procedure. When you take any project for especially piling, first you will be doing the field exploration and testing. Based on that, you will conduct the soil test. You will understand the soil property. Based on the structural engineering, you will try to design the pile, broadcast in situ pile. When you are designing, you will be designing for axial load as well as lateral load. Axial load is nothing but vertical load, and lateral load is horizontal load. This will be resisting the earth pressure. This is the resisting the structural load. Once if you are designed, then you will be submitting and you will be conducting the load settlement pile load test. There you will get the load settlement curve. Based on that, you will be pile drawings and pile cap drawings, everything you will be releasing. Once if it is released, then you will be start constructing. You will be identifying the pile location, then you start constructing the pile. Once the pile is constructed, after 28 days curing, we will do the two types of testing. One is static test as well as dynamic test. The static pile load test, again you have two types, initial test and routine test. Initial test means it is a 1.5 times the whatever the load we have designed, and the routine means it will be 2.5 times till the pile should be failure. You will understand the maximum load, how much pile can be taken. That will be till that failure, the load will be applied. That is 2.5 times. But in our metro construction, we will go only for the initial, only 1.5 times of the design load only. If the soil is very weak or we won't have confidence, then only we will recommend for the routine test. Because once you conduct the test, once if the pile is failure, it will be difficult to use that. And the each pile cost, it is about 2 to 3 lakhs. It will be, when you file the, when you make the pile to fail, it is like a useless. You are just wasting the 3 lakhs. This concept only will use when you won't have confidence in the field. The soil is having some making some confidence level is low, or you can't take the proper decision. Then we will recommend the contractor to go for the this routine test. Otherwise, we will go 1.5 times the D, because that is sufficient, because we need only initial. So based on that, and also the code book will say every 1 kilometer you have to do the one pile load test. It is mandatory. So doing a pile load test will also help you to make the designers more confident. Whatever you are designing in the field and whatever you are getting the design load as per the code, it should be validated. If something is going, means he may done mistake in the field or he may done mistake in the design. So whatever the design is happening mistakes, that you could have given instruction in the site only. Otherwise, without conducting pile load test, if you are blindly, if you are going, definitely that disasters will occur. So that's why this static load test has this pile load test plays a major role in any projects. And similar way, PDA with respect to time, now this dynamic testing has become a more prominent. The beauty of dynamic test, you can validate, you can able to get it what is the energy transferred on the pilot, as well as you can back calculate the skin friction, end bearing, and total curve. But in static, you will get only one curve total. So the beauty is you can understand this curve. And the PIT test is nothing but pile integrity test. It will tell whether the pile have any defect, like concrete has not done properly, your honeycomb is there, any neck failure, that will highlight. So once if it is quality test to be done, once everything is satisfied, then they will give the final approval. Then they will go for the structural people. See, this is the procedure they carried out in the metro. First, they will be constructing the pile. Apart from the, on the top of the pile, they will be constructing the pile cap, then pedestal, Then based on the pedestal, they will construct the pier. This is construction for the viaduct. On the top of the pier, they will construct the pier cap. Then after constructing the pier cap, this is the viaduct. This is the station, the platform station, where the train used to come and stand here. This is the left side and right side, the two platforms. Generally, as per the thumb rule, it will be 250 meters and the length will be 20 to 30 meters. Again, this will be decided based on the number of the compartment in the metro. Maybe if it is 250, 300, then generally it will be 8 compartments will be there. Each compartment size will be 22 to 22.5 meters. And from here 50 meter and here 50 meter, if you take, when you add, it will come 250 to 300 only. In coming slide, I will be showing that by taking the example of Delhi Metro. Then after constructing, this is the platform construction, which I told you. Then for this supporting, they will be doing the footings, 10 to 12 meters distance. On that, columns will be coming for the concourse slab. This is the extended pier cap. Then you will be constructing this roof sheet, where the this train will come. This is the platform. This is elevated, which I'm talking. I'm not talking about underground. Underground, the procedure is different. Now we have understood what type of pile we have to use, and if you are doing the pile, what is the code? We have understood the pile load will be play a major role. But as a design engineer, what is the guideline you have to use? The guideline is for us, it is like a IS 2911, part 1, section 2 will say. Part 1 will say about concrete pile, and section 2 will talk about the board cast density, because we are discussing only on board cast density. Suppose if you are using driven pile, then it will be section 1 will be coming. And now we are discussing about the pile load test. In that IS 2911, part 4 will be discussing about the detail of the pile load test. We have to follow as per the guidelines only. As I already told you, this is the smaller diameter, like a 600, 800. You can, now in our India, we have this. We won't have this larger diameter casing or a drill bit. So we are not going for the larger diameter, because the main reason is lack of availability of large cutter, buckets, and drill ring rigs. You require nowadays, this all drilling rigs are come to India. Before it was not there. Everyone they were following a manual method, like a trench method. Now you can see, which I was telling, this is the cutter used for the collection of end bearing pile. End bearing pile is nothing but rock. When you want to cut the rock, or when you want to identify that rock, you must have a proper drilling bit. You can see their teeth. This is called round shaft chisel. This is when you identify this is a rock, you will be inserting there. You will be collecting this core is nothing but rock. You are collecting with this core barrel. Then you will be cleaning this bore hole. When you collect the sample, it looks like this. Then you will be sending this for the testing. You will be doing the point load test on this rock to check the RQD values, as well as total core recoveries of the rock. See, this is the procedure followed for the rock socketing. I already told you, rock socket will be done only for the salt weather rock or bedrock only. In our Bangalore, we used to have only granite. So bedrock, you can see it in Lalwag. The rock, that is our bedrock. That is a granite rock. Once if you are driving a pile, the procedure follow. First you have to identify the bedrock. Then you are breaking that core. Then this is the terminated depth. It is 1.5 times the D or a 2 point. When you break this, then you will be cleaning with this bucket. And also by using the proper cleaning should be done. If any silt or anything is there, then you can't achieve that much capacity. Debris should be clearly cleaned. That's why you are using by airlift pump. Then you are lowering the reinforcement. When you are lowering the reinforcement, then you are using a trummy method. When you are lowering the reinforcement also, slightly the soil may collapse. Again, you have to clean that borehole before doing the concreting. Then you have to do the trummy method. the advantage of trumming method, you can do the vibration at every layer, so the concrete will settle uniformly. There will be no honeycomb and the damages won't occur. So coming to this rock auger, you can see this is the pilot bit, double cutting. It will cut from the both side. When you put the auger inside the rock, it will come cut in the both side. This is, you can see this is called as a drill bits. For soil, you won't find this type of sharp teeth. I will show you the soil auger also. Now this is the auger used for the drill bit. You can see the teeth of the soil as well as rock. When you are drilling the rock, the costly, suppose when you are drilling the soil, it may be each borehole per running meter, it may be 3,000 or 4,000 maximum. When you are drilling this rock, it will cost 10,000 to 12,000 or 15,000, because you are bringing this equipment and using the proper teeth. The cost of the rock drilling is very high. It is almost 2.5 to, it will go till 5 times high. So to avoid this, the contractor will make you fool by telling that SPT value. That's why I was telling, as an engineer, you should not compromise with your quality of work. You should ensure the bearing capacity should be achieved. So when you are recommending the drill bit, you must have the proper knowledge whether they are using a proper drill bit or not. If they are using this and telling this, then whatever you are designing, it won't come. Again, the pile will be in the problem. So this will be used for the weather rock up to 80 MPa. You can see the teeth. Each different types of rocks have a different types of teeth and the core barrel. Now this is the roller bit. Roller bit will be used only for the hard rock up to 200 MPa. You can see how it is there. The bolted roller suction pile. When you are drilling, you are passing the water. It will be like acting like a lubrication, so the borehole won't collapse and it will be getting a friction. Automatically, it will be getting easy to cut the rock. See, next is Bluetooth and wear part. Is another different type of rocker. When you can change the teeth whenever you require. When the soil is completed, when you are going for a rock, use this teeth with a different types of drill bits. This is a single blade cut auger. This is drilling rock without flushing. In previous, you have to do the flushing. Here the beauty is, without doing the flushing, it will automatically cutting the rock. See, now till now what we understood was rock related. Now it is a conventional method. I was telling you, we are following in majority also for residential building or major, even some metro projects like a contractor, still they are using this old technology. The objective of using is only further to reduce the cost, to make them benefit. If they are using big cutter, the expenses is too high. So to avoid that, they are using conventional method. First, they will be identifying the pile point. Then they will be putting this tripod with able of chisel. The capacity is 3.5 times. They will drive the pile. To cleaning this borehole, they are using this biler. Parallelly, they will be putting this bentonite as a slurry to stabilize the borehole. When you are going for chisel method, they also have limitation. What are the limitation? Let me understand. First is very slow process. Sometimes it is indefinite. You don't know how much time it will take, at what depth. You don't have any idea. Just based on the sound, you are just drilling. It may take for drilling the borehole, if soil is getting collapsed, like seepage, anything, the entire day you are drilling. But when you are using a proper like a rotary method, I will be showing in the next slide. At every meter, you will be keep on monitoring whether the pile is going vertically or not, whether it is a collapsed or not, what type of soil. It will give some indication. But in manual method, no indication, just blindly you are doing. When you are operating, you require high skilled labor or operator. And also when you are using this capacity of the chisel, that is also limited by winch capacity. the quality, it requires high quality supervisor, because with the experienced person only at least he can give 70 to 80% result satisfaction. If you take new site engineer and tell him to operate this, he was not able to understand how this is working, how to differentiate the soil or rock, because it is based on experience only you can able to judge this. So you require high skill supervisors and high skill operate also. This is operated by the laborers and this will be monitored by the site engineers. So both persons should be well experienced. Otherwise, you can't achieve even 60 to 70% output also. And also the another drawback is actual rock in which the pile socket is assessed by the indirect method. I told you, if it is taking for 15-20 minutes or 1 hour, then you blindly you will decide this is a rock. That is wrong. That's why I told you that IGM layer is interpreted by whether rock or bedrock. You won't have proper visualization. Just blindly you are going in the dark room. So energy spent in breaking the entire rock mass within the socket portion is inefficient method. Now coming to precast. Precast is already they have constructed this pile in the casting yard, just they transported to the site and they will be driving by the hammer. This can be used by the different shape, maybe H shape, circular, whatever, based on the availability of the site constraint. They will be using this shape of the pile. But in broadcast density pile, this is the regular procedure, which I was telling. This is the rotary rig method. The person who is sitting inside, he can able to just you have to give the pile location. You will use the proper auger and you will start drilling it. See this, the drilling is going on. You can clearly visualize whether the pile is going in vertical direction or any pile is out or not. You can see, and whether also when he is drilling, you can visual that whether the soil is getting collapsed or not. If it is collapsing, you will be using the casing, or you will be using this bentonite as a stabilizing agent. Then once you achieve that required depth, then you will be lowering the reinforcement by cleaning the borehole. Then you will be doing the concreting. See, this is the concrete by using the Trumby method. After 28 days, when you excavate, it looks like this. This pile is called as a soldier pile. This is pile is a soldier pile. This will be constructed for the earth retaining pressure only. This is not a load bearing pile. See, this is the conventional method I was telling. First, you are driving the pile by using the tripod method. Then you are lowering the reinforcement. These people are constructing. The bar bender who is going to use the pile should have experience. Normal bar bender can't able to construct the reinforcement of the pile. You require again skill reinforcement labor should be required. Then lowering this reinforcement by using Trumby method. Once the pile, how you will ensure in the field whether the pile has done successfully, because the concrete overflow should take place. Suppose if you are drive at 10-meter depth, for that 10-meter depth you have identified how much quantity of concrete is required. That much concrete should be filled and remaining should be overflow. Suppose if it is the borehole is collapsed after doing the concreting, then the consumption of cement will be more. Then this type of you can see this overflow won't take place. Then it clearly indication that somewhere it went wrong. You have to take the proper action immediately. There is no need of waiting till 28 days. This is the pouring of the concrete. See, after doing the piling, after curing, you will be excavating for the pile cap. See, this is the preparation of the pile cap. Once pile is done and pile cap is constructed, you can conduct the pile load test on the pile only. This is the steel plate. You are putting the hydraulic jug. This is the 4 dial gauges. This is the load. Load is by Kentelage method, by sand replacement. This is sandbags you are transferring. Now coming to this, now you have understood the construction process for the residential as well as metro. But what is happening in the reality? Let me understand by this borehole. You can see this borehole clearly. They have done till 38.8 meters. They are telling silt clay, then followed by weather rock. It's 11.2. If you see this, it is an incomplete information. You won't see the C5 values at every depth or where that foundation should be terminated. There is no C5 value at 9 meter. Just they have done at 4 meter. That's it. But when you are terminating the pile at maybe 15 meter, you must, when you are designing the pile, you must require all the C5 value at every respective layers. To avoid this, if when they are taking the sample at respective depth, it required lot of time and experiment. To avoid this, contractor will just give the n values. So you can see 7 they are given, then they are giving 13, 18. Based on n value, can you able to design? Yes, you can design by the thumb rule, but how much efficiency we will see in the coming slide. But when you are using this incomplete information as a design engineer, again it will be challenge for you. With incomplete information, you can't design the pile. Then what is the alternative method? You can't blame the contractor. So better you go for geophysical testing. When you go for geophysical testing, it will be easy to identify the bedrock as well as soil profile immediately. Based on that, which all the data is missing in the borehole, you take that data and design the pile. Now, before going to my simulations, first let me understand this case study, because this case study is from Germany. This was the literature I have taken from Sommer in 1974. He has done pile load test and also validated with analytical methods. How discipline in developed country they are following. So you can see this is the 16 anchors they have used. This is the reaction beam and the 2 hydraulic gauge. See, load as applied till the settlement occurs. The diameter of pile is, they have used is 1.3 meter and length is 9.5 meter. The upper 4.5 is a silty, then followed by a clay. This is not a load bearing pile. This is a skin friction pile only. The water table they have encountered is 3.5 meters from the top level. See, they have conducted very nicely. You can see the linear portion and non-linear portion very nicely. They have applied till 2750. The code book will say for evaluating the pile capacity, you should, for 12 mm diameter, you should go. There are 4 methods. One is single abscissa method, 12 mm dia, double abscissa method, 10 mm dia. Single abscissa method means when you draw the line here for this tangent, just you take this here 2000 is coming. Double abscissa, when you draw the tangent from here, where it will intersect, that is double ab. 2750. 10% dia you can't do because this is a 1.3 meter. When you do 10% means it should go 130 mm settlement. It is impossible. It is possible, but it required loading, required heavy load. For that also you required huge money. For larger diameter you can't satisfy this condition. The code book will say you have to go till 12 mm diameter or 10% of dia. These logics will applicable only for the smaller diameter like 600 mm, but not for the larger diameter. Because larger diameter you can't go. If you are going 10% means 130 mm settlement, you can't give it, the load will be increased. That much load you can't do. So this logic won't apply for the larger diameter. It only apply for the smaller diameter. See, and also to, as a design engineer, you should validate your result, whatever you are getting from the analytical method or by the field. So I have done the modeling by using Plaxis. I have taken the site condition as it is. I told you 4.5 is the top layer, then followed by the silt and clay. This is the length of the pile, 9.5 meters, and the diameter is 1.3. This is an axis symmetry model I have used with a proper boundary condition. I have applied is 3250 because in field also they have applied 3250. So in my simulation also I have used this much loading only. See, this is the soil property I have taken from the soil report. And also I did the sensitivity analysis with varying the different types of meshes. When I use the different types of meshes like a fine, very fine, medium, and coarse, I used to get medium mesh was clearly matching with this existing field data. So in all my analysis, I will be using only medium mesh. So once I did, I was able, this is the total curve I got from the field. This is the total curve I got from the Flaxis. Then I back calculated, I got a Flaxis skin friction curve as well as end bearing curve. They have used their row cell, so they were able to calculate this end bearing as well as skin friction. By using this two different method, which I was telling you, IS code method as well as Mayer-Hoff method. See, Mayer-Hoff method is completely depends on only one parameter, that is called SPT n value. You can see, as per the Flaxis, you are getting 3,250. Here you are getting 10,780. IS code is telling 5,320. See, when you see this is the double of this, when you see this is a 4 time, is it required? How much variation can come? It clearly shows that the code which we are using for this IOs or a Mayer-Hoff, it is not valid for the larger diameter. You can see it is showing 1,675. At least IS code is matching with end bearing 1,640. Mayer-Hoff is showing 8,000. It is almost 5 times higher, 6 times higher. Because why? Mean this is only one parameter. Based on one parameter, you are designing this entire filing. That is wrong. That can't be decided. Analytical method, which I was keep on telling, is this is the IS29. This is the formula. This first two component. This first two component will be used for the. This is for the end bearing, and this component will be used for the skin friction. I was telling the Mayer-Hoff. Mayer-Hoff is telling 40 times of NAP plus NAS. This is area of the pile. This is area of the soil. Then you are taking 3 times factor of safety. Here you are taking 5 times. But you can see only based on N value you are calculating entire pile. That is wrong. This can be done only for the emergency purpose, for the thumb rule, but not for the real execution. That's why, as per the field, if you use all three methods, single abscissa method, 12mm method, 10% of dia method, whatever, the range is coming from 2000 to 2750. The range is in this range. But when you do the analytical method, you can see it is going 5,000. Where is 2,000? Where is 5,000? This is almost 4 times higher, 10,000. So it clearly shows that this method, what we are using as per the IS code, will applicable only for the smaller diameter pile, but not for the larger diameter pile. So coming to this Bangalore Metro, this is the Bangalore Metro. The Bangalore Metro, this Bangalore Metro, again, it is a joint venture of government Karnataka as well as government of India, the central government. With joint venture, they have constructed. And this project was started in 2007. For this constructing this project, the DPR was prepared by the Delhi Metro for the phase 1 of about 7.5 kilometers. And this Bangalore Metro operation started in 2011. And also this Bangalore Metro is known as an Namma Metro. The total length of phase 1 and phase 2, generally it covers about 112 kilometers. As per the 2014, they have told. The phase 1 consists of 2 corridors. One is east-west corridor and north-west corridor. In east-west corridor, it consists of 18.1 kilometer long. It's starting from Bayapanalli in east and ends in the Mysore Road terminal in the west. Similarly, in north corridor to south corridor, it is about 24.2 kilometer long. It starts from Nagsandra in north and ends in the south, that is Putenalli. And they have given the color code. For east-west corridor, they are given a color code of purple line, and north-south corridor they called as a green line. These two corridors, it will be meeting in the common junction to exchange the people who are coming from the different place. They should have a common junction. That the junction point they have decided is Kempegoda. Kempegoda station is the common point. there they can commuter can exchange wherever they want. In similar way, in Delhi Metro, the common junction point is Central Secretariat. So, and also in that phase 1, 8.82 kilometer is underground. In phase 2 kilometer, the generally it covers about 70 kilometer network, and also starting from Nagwara through Shivajinagar and Cantonment railway station. That is coming under phase 2. In the Bangalore Metro, they have used maximum number of pile group is 9 pile group, and the diameter is varying from 1 to 1.6 meter they have used. And also the depth of the pile is 15 to 30 meters. This is the 1.2 diameter of the pile. This is southern circle. You can see this, which I am showing. Jayanagar, southern is 1.2. They have used 4 pile groups, and MG Road is a monopile, and HSR Levitt is 1 meter dia with 4 piles, and 1.2 diameter in Kalyanpur with 5 piles. Again, this number of dia will be decided based on the structural load as well as soil stratification. And also the groups will be decided based on the soil only, pile capacity. So now you have constructed the pile. After constructing the pile, you have to, at every kilometer, you have to check the pile load test. So we are not using LVDT method. We are using still blender method called sandbag method. This is the cartilage. This is the hydraulic jug. This is the pump. The procedure will follow like this. Hydraulic jug to apply a load. If you are using for a proper accurate, then you could have recommend for the load cell. This concept they have used for a MG road, but not for other metro station. And also, when you are applying a load, some displacement will be coming. For to measuring that, you have used 3 to 4 dial gauges. At each load, you are calculating the settlement was observed. Whatever you are applying a load, you should retain that load for 2 hours. Then you, if that any settlement is not happening, then only you have to go for next loading. See, in based on that German case study, you can see there, you can see the linear and non-linear portion very effectively. You can see this curve, only linear portion, there is no non-linear. If you are getting this type of curve, the maximum settlement is only 2.5 mm. It clearly shows, as the code book it says, you should achieve 12 mm or 10% of the dia. This is 1 meter. If it is 1 meter means 100 mm, it can't be done. That condition is ruled out. When you are giving 12 mm, no, they have not done. Okay, when you are able to calculate, back calculate by single abscissa or double abscissa method, you can't do. None of the criteria is matching. See, it clearly shows the guidelines null. So the guideline needs to be modified as they were made only for the smaller diameter. The current code needs to be modified, or testing till 12 mm should be deemed sufficient. We have to instruct the contractor to do at least 12 mm. When you are doing proper, you have to make sure that linear and non-linear portion should come. If it is coming, it clearly shows that they have made some mistake, or they have done the pile settlement 1 day before in front of client just to show that this pile should be satisfied. They have done this. This is called as a blender. As a geotechnical engineering, you should not entertain this type of mistakes in the site. You should take care. So the mistake is happening from the field. Then as a design engineer, what is the alternate? So go for the modeling. You back calculate by using this. You can see this by using the soil property. Soil property, they have done the borehole properly. By using that, you can do the design properly and back calculate the skin friction, end bearing as well as total load. Same mistake. This is for the Jayanagar. There is no linear, non-linear portion is there. See, this is the blender mistakes they are following. Similar. Total curve, again back calculated with Plaxis. So as a geotechnical engineering, you should always good with your softwares. You should, this is the time you have to learn the Plaxis especially. So whatever the problem we are facing in the static pile load test, then what is the alternative to overcome this problem? So we can recommend dynamic pile load test. What is the benefit of this dynamic pile load test? The benefit is it is very fast and effective method. By using this accelerometer and strain gauge, you are able to collect the data by using these sensors and able to calculate this shaft resistance and end bearing. And also by this method, you are able to identify if pile is have a proper shape integrity, like any damages are there, you can able to give additional benefit of this test. So this is the load testing, static load test, dynamic load test. Again, dynamic, you have that PDA, and this is the CAFFAB software using for that identifying the total load, skin friction load. This is the hammer which I was telling. This type of concept I told you, 1740 only Christopher already invented this one. Now this is the advanced technique. By doing this, all preparing the pilot by using proper sensors. So this is the strain gauge and accelerometer they are fixed. This is the pressure they are applying. When you apply the load 3 times, they will be make you to free fall on this side. This is the head. They will be creating the temporary head. This is the cushion. Otherwise, if you are not creating this, the pile will be damaged. You can't use this pile for the next other activities. So they will prepare the temporary head and they will try to damage the temporary head only. So what is the mechanism behind that? Let me understand. When you hit the pile rammer, you will be generating this force. The compressive waves will be traveled. See, when you hit, the force and velocity curve will be generated when you hit. This is the cushion which I was telling you. This will be helping you to save from the pile head damage. These are the 2 sensors, that accelerometer and this, they have fixed it. Once you create the waves, these waves will be captured by this PDA and it is computed. Once the waves is captured by this PDA, with help of CAFFAB software, you will able to calculate static soil resistance and stimulate the static load test. You will able to calculate the load settlement curve, static load settlement curve you are generated, and also in additional you are able to calculate skin friction, end bearing, and also the additional benefit of this test is you will understand that stresses at any point along the stamp can be easily identified, and also you can measure that energy transfer from the rammer to the foundation, and also the measurement made with the P you are properly identified. So the benefit of this pile hammer is, I told you in one word, you can say this. First, you are calculating the capacity. This is the, from dynamic test, you are able to calculate the static curve. Initially, for that sandbag method, you are getting only this curve. That curve won't have linear and non-linear. By this method, you are calculating static curve also. In additional, you are calculating pile integrity also, pile stress also, hammer performance also. This last 3 will deduct about this, tell about the problems, whether it is a damage or not, or whether the stresses has traveled. First thing will tell about the pile capacity, the load settlement curve. After taking this field data, then I modeled. Again, you can model it. This will develop you more confident as a for the design engineer. You are validating with several things. You have validated in the field and also back calculated this static curve from the field. Now you are validating with Plaxis also. This is total curve matching with field data. Again, you are back calculating and taking the skin friction and as well as end bearing. Now, till now, we have understood about piling, designs and everything. Let me see the beautiful case studies, how nicely this L&T people have done for the Mumbai Metro. This all data is from Mumbai, this L&T sites. First, they have identified the rock type in that Mumbai, that for monopile, the ballast. Then they have conducted UCC strength. It was coming around 45 to 200 MPa. They have used 2 types of diameter. One is 1 meter dia and 800 mm dia. The capacity when they calculated by analytical method, they used to get in the range of, because each bore will have give a different types of capacity. It's ranging from 300 to maximum 550. For 800, it is 350 to 400. And the maximum depth they went is 30 meter depth. This is the machine. Thus generally for any metro projects, they should follow 9 steps. First step is they will make a joint agreement between the contractor, consultant, geotechnical consultant, the client and engineers on allowable values. They will decide that for my condition I need this type of parameter. First is skin friction, end bearing and total core recovery. The client will give instruction for the geotechnical consultant. This parameter should be shown to me whatever we are getting the data, then you have to take the approval. That's why they have done this is the hierarchy. First they have identified this bedrock, then they have conducted their testing, and they have calculated their skin, end bearing and this TCR value at every depth. Step 2 is at every depth you have to collect the proper sample. You must write the proper date, file number, when you taken the sample, what was the timings, what depth, everything you have to properly note down and keep it, and you have to send for the lab, and it should be entered in the ledger also. See then how nicely they are taking, they are weighing. For taking this core barrel, they are using this rotary, which I already told you how the procedure is happening. At certain depth, they will be collecting the cores properly and collected, and they will be sending for the laboratory. And also, as a site engineer or any geotechnical or geology, you must have some basic idea. Like the literature will say, if it is volcanic type of rock, the color you can immediately say that it will be in the form of yellowish brown to purple. Ballast, it will be dark greenish. Then if you are talking about their grain size, it will be in the coarse size to medium, fine grain. See, this data will help you to give spontaneously identification in the field engineer. So as a site engineer or anyone, they must have some immediately they should take the decision. So this knowledge should be there. They should practice. And also for detailed thing, they will be sending this sample to the lab and conducting the point load test. Then they will be getting this value. As and when the client will show me verify the sample. So you have a proper documentation. Then based on the rock type and TCR selection, you will be calculating the friction as well as end bearing calculation you will be doing. See, step 3. This is the formula they have used for skin friction and end bearing. And they are taking a factor of 2 point. Once if it is done, then you send this calculation and photograph and everything to the client. He will cross check and he will give the approval. Once he give the approval, then only you have to give the instruction to the contractor to stop the borehole. Then you do the concreting. Till that time, if it is not satisfied, you have to repeat the procedure. See, this is how nicely they have documented type of stratification, depth, and everyone, contractor, client, and proof checker, geotechnical person will be making the 3 persons have done the signature, proper date, everything, location, file number. How nicely you can see the grade of concrete, length of the pile, number of pile load, because in that location they have done only one pile load. They estimated is 250 tons, but they have increased 250 multiplied by 1.5. They have done 350 to 375. The maximum settlement they have got is only 6 mm. This is the way you have to do the testing. And next case study is Mumbai Metro. There also the total number of pile was 5,000 pile. The diameter is 3 types of diameter, 600, 800 and 1 meter. The length of pile was 50 meter. The estimated design load was for 3 different diameter was 150, 140, 250 and 400. The type of rock they have mentioned. Then they have mentioned their strength also. Then they have mentioned type of rig they are using, whether rotary rig or a conventional method. Then also they are telling, if I come across weather rock, I will go 3 times a day. If I encounter with odd rock, then I will stop at 1 time a day. This is the agreement as per the code they have to discuss with the client. They will take the approval, then they will start the work. Here they are not using conventional method. No chisel criteria is not done. See, this is the machine name is Mate HR 180. By Trummy method they are using. This is the load settlement curve for different types of piles. And this is Nasik elevated. Similarly, the total number of pile is 534. The diameter is 1 meter. The length of pile is 15 to 18. The design load is 500. The type of rock is ballast. The number of pile till now they have completed is 8 numbers they have mentioned. They have used 2 number of rotary rigs to complete the project fast. To achieve this 534, they put 2 numbers of rotary rig. Because if you take one rotary, the time will be more. To avoid that, they have a time constraint they're using. Here the machine name is called Kasaganda 180. This is the coarse cutting. How they are measuring the core length 0.5 meter to 1.4 meter. Then nicely they have get the load settlement curve. The pile length is 1.3 meter. Pile length is 13 meters, 1 meter pile. The design capacity is 500 tons. They have done more than that, 1.5 times. Then the new technology is polymer. Initially, always we are using bentonite to stabilize the bore. So when you, instead of bentonite, if you recommend polymer, what are the advantages? Let me understand that. So this they have done in the Malaysia, because the loose sand won't come with the sauger. It will take a lot of time to cleaning the borehole. So once you use this polymer, the glue will make you to hold the loose sand also. So it will reduce the hello. Okay. Now lack of time, I will be a little bit going fast. Then this is the procedure they will be using. You will be putting the polymer solution and allow it for 30 minutes. These particles will settle down and it will help to clean the borehole. See, this will, once you put the auger, it will clearly stick and it will be coming out. This is the advantages. The time of hydration requires more. It can be used directly. And also, this is the advantages. It required 120 minutes. This is required 30 minutes. And you can achieve the 100% skin friction and end bearing by using the polymer, but not in the bentonite, because the collapses are more. So if you want to achieve the good pile, you should have a proper pile person should be there. Proper understanding of rock and soil is required. Proper UCS and point load test should be done. This is the criteria. Then only you are able to achieve the proper end bearing and skin friction. Now coming to, because of lack of time, just I am showing some glimpse about the Delhi Metro. This is the highlight of budget of Delhi Metro. The total contract value is 813 crores. This is for phase 2 of Delhi. This includes 4 underground station and tunnel only. They have a joint venture of DMRC has given C 70% and Soma. These two people have come jointly and they reported to Delhi Metro that they will handle this project, like 4 underground station and tunnel. So they have given 12 weeks time mobilization for the equipment. The construction period is 162 weeks and the defect is, if they come across any problems within 1 year, then they should do with a free of cost. They have their warranty period. The retention is 10%. They used to collect it from the total project. See, this is the 4 underground station. The underground station I told, Jorbagh station 318. I told you the design calculation, how they will be doing the 2 sides of the platform size and the total pier length, everything should be considered. Again, this will be decided. You can see here it is 282. Suddenly it has reduced because the flyover is coming. This is the flyover is coming. So they have reduced the length and they have increased the little bit width. So when you are going underground, the benefit is you will maintain the aesthetic as it is. You are not damaging the environmental. You are doing below the ground level, but the cost is very high. This initial cost is very high, but long term the maintenance cost is very less. Architectural quality and aesthetic view particularly, it can be maintained in underground method. This underground will suggest only in very, very congested area. Otherwise, if the width of the road is 30 meters, then we used to go for elevated. Underground metro will Generally, elevated metro will take 50 crore. If you are going for underground, it will take 2.5 to 3 times extra money. So always we go for elevated only. See, this is the method. First, they will be constructing the soldier pile. This is the bottom method. They is to construct for underground. Then they will be putting the first strut, then second strut, then third strut, then the base slab. Then they will be constructing the concourse slab, then roof slab. This will be done only in the congested area you are doing. See, this is the procedure. First, you are drilling, then you are putting the ISMG channel, and you should be socketed at 3 to 4 times the D of the diameter of this ISMG channel. Only this top level will be backfilled. After the construction, you can remove this. This will be acting like only for the temporary, only for the earth retaining pressure. See, this is the retaining one. You can see this type of construction they have done in the Chinnaswamy Stadium also. But this picture is in Delhi Metro. This is the soldier pile. This is the wooden panel. The diameter of this is 1.2 meter, center to center space. The width of this wooden panel is 40 mm by 40 mm. To avoid the soil pressure and to maintain the verticality, they are using the strut and veiler beams. See, you can see. This is the entrance for the bottom method. Once you do this, you can go till base slab, whatever the depth. Then another method is top-down construction. First, you are constructing the D-wall, then you will be constructing the roof, then you will be constructing the concourse, you will give the gap, then you will go to the next level, then you will construct the base. See, this is the thing. Roof slab, constructing the concourse slab, again equipment will go to the bottom slab, then you are backfilling. See, this is the entrance. When you want to do, you must have a this options only, it will use only in the congested places only, not in the open bottom. When you're recommending, you require little bit space, but this top-down construction, you can see the best example in that Prestige Code near Governor's building. For that residential building also, we have gone for the top-down construction method. So this is, now I'm just winding up, just showing. This is bottom. This comparison you can read by yourself. This is the EBM. This will work in by 3 principal: water pressure, earth pressure, and TBM phase. This is the soil grouting they have done. This is setting up the gantry for drilling the tunnel boring. This is the platform they are doing. Once the tunnel boring is launched, then whatever you are doing the boring, the soil will come with the conveyor belt. It will be taking out, and parallelly you will be putting the segments. See, parallelly. Otherwise, this tunnel will be collapsed. This is after boring is done, you have to remove the tunnel boring. This is the exiting, launching. This is the procedure. There you are launched. Here it is coming out. That machine you will be. This is called breakthrough. Thank you. If you need any, if you have any query or anything, you please contact me in this email ID.
Thank you, Dr. Naveen sir, for giving us a glimpse of the deep foundations. I think the case studies with respect to the Mumbai monorail project, the Mumbai International Airport project, Bangalore Metro project, and Delhi Metro, the Prestige Code's top-down construction methodology. I think it was really amazing, really interesting to probably know what are the various technologies which the industry is adopting, which the students are not aware of, because there's a lot of gap which exists between the present syllabus and what the industry is expecting. So I think within a short period of time, you were able to probably give us a glimpse of the various recent methodologies and technologies which have been adopted with respect to deep excavation, with respect to the construction of the pile, pier. I think thank you so much. You also have probably covered the design aspects, the testing aspects, actually how the pile load pile load test is basically carried out. Thank you so much for spending time with us. So I think So can I go with one or two questions?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, please go ahead.
there's one student who asked a question: how are the pile foundations curing process is done? Curing for pile foundations is the question.
No. Come again.
Okay, curing. How are the pile foundations cured? Curing.
See, you are talking about curing of this piling.
Yeah.
See, this, as you know that it is not like a column. It won't be exposed. It is below the ground level only. See, because of the soil pressure, it will be always, soil is having some moisture content.
Yeah.
So it is below the ground level. You don't know at what depth, how you are doing everything, because it can be clearly monitored by that rotary method which I told you. If you are doing suppose 600 mm diameter by rotary, that rotary will confirm you whether that borehole is having the verticality, whether the borehole is going straight or wrong, and putting the proper casing at certain depth, and you are doing the trimming method. There only because of that, see, curing required water, right? The water will be generated by the soil only. Soil has some moisture content because it is inside only. It is like a fridge. You are keeping the food in the fridge, how it will be completely preserved. When you export to atmosphere, then only you are putting some gunny bags and putting water every day. But this concept won't work out for the foundation engineering. That's why I told you, as a geotechnical engineering, that is your prime. No one can visualize what is happening in the ground. As a geotechnical engineer, you should raise your voice to the client or a contractor, and whatever, if you are telling the truth, that will make your project successful. If you making a favor of contractor of making, because those people don't know what is happening in the below ground level, no one is able to visualize. Only this visualize can be done only by the geotechnical engineering. That's why if you see any big infrastructure in a Dubai 25 towers, they who are constructed in the offshore also, if structure is stable, the first credit will go only for the geotechnical engineer who has done the proper foundation. He has understand that visualization, how it will behave for the current scenario or in future also. So the main thing is geotechnical engineers should understand what is the mechanism behind the soil as well as the pile. When you're designing that, what you're telling, another component is soil pile interaction will come into major role. So this should be properly understand. That can be only understood